everybody, Gene here with G Squared Tactical. I got the FN Reflex on the channel today. As most of you people that watch the channel on a regular basis know, I'm not a huge fan of the FN brand. Reason, I'll just go ahead and get that up front, full disclosure. They say compact, they say subcompact, and there ain't nothing really about any of their guns that I've ever had that seemed compact to me in any way. They in a lot of ways reminded me of like a High Point. You know, people would get really angry if we said something bad about a High Point. They'd say, well, it's reliable, and you know, for some people I guess accurate, but it's so heavy, like you could beat somebody with the thing. Like, it's just overbuilt in a lot of ways, if you will. And most of the FNs that I found, I guess the reason I got aggravated with them is because I could use them. They were very reliable, in a lot of cases very accurate. I could use the gun, but I just couldn't carry the gun. They were thick and bulky when they did not have to be. They were overpriced in my opinion, and the triggers were horrible. So those are the three reasons why I just never really did find myself carrying an FN pistol. And if you would have told me 5 years ago that FN would have came out with a true micro compact pistol, I probably would not have believed you, because this is indeed a true micro compact. This is, again, the FN Reflex. This is the MRD version of this, and they do also make this that is not optic ready. And again, as I mentioned, it is truly a micro compact. It does come with an 11 round and a 15 round magazine, and it does have this flush plate here to put on your 11 round mag. I prefer to leave the pinky extension on there so that I can get a good purchase, good secure purchase on this firearm. It only weighs in empty without the optic, of course, at 18.4 ounces. The overall length on this is the barrel length is 3.3. The overall length is 6.2. It does have a rate of twist of 1 in 10, and the overall height, of course, without the optic is 4.27, and the overall width is only 1 inch, making it truly micro compact. The trigger pull on this, we consistently were getting somewhere between 4.5 and 4.6, 4.7. The manufacturer says smooth trigger, best in class, somewhere between 4.5 and 5 pounds. The sight radius is 5.05, and as I mentioned, it is optics ready. And the slide is cut for the Shield RMSC. We have mounted an Apollo, ADE Apollo up here. It did flush mount. We used the screws that came with the optic. The reason I put this optic up here, because typically I will gravitate towards the Holosun 407, 507K, but ADE sent us these optics to review. We did review it at the range. It did hold zero. It zeroed and it held zero the entirety of the day at the range. So we could not have been more happy with the optic, and we do thank ADE for sending us these optics. So that's why this is up here right now. Again, any other day I probably would have put the Holosun 407 or 507K green dot or red dot up here, but that's what we got up here. It did flush mount, and for that reason and the cutaway through the rear of the ADE here, I do get a lower 1/3 co-witness, which is really nice. You know, I'm a big fan of that. But it is truly optics ready. So you come home, you take your plate off. They did have a provided Torx tool in here, and it did come with a few extra screws. I'm not totally sure what they're for. I did not use them. As I said, I used the screws that came with the optics to mount it up here. And here's the plate that I took off. And okay, so we'll just start up at the top. We'll stay up there since we're on the optic. It does have a tritium field dovetailed in orange front night sight, steel, not plastic. You know I like that. The rear is steel as well, and it's just a 2-dot white, and it does have front and rear serrations, as you are accustomed to with FN on all of their 509 models. Now they say that it has a easy racking or a low racking force. I don't know. I just really don't know. I mean, I don't have any other micro compacts sitting here beside of me on the table to be able to say one way or the other whether it is a lighter rack than those. I'm not really sure. It feels about the same to me as any other. I don't really know, but that's what the manufacturer says. It's a low force racking, and it says it is a best in class trigger. Now, staying up top before we get to the trigger, it does have this little peephole loaded chamber indicator, whatever you want to call it, at the back of the barrel here. And as you already know what I'm going to say, that is absolutely ridiculous. Please, for the love of God, stop putting loaded chamber indicators and peepholes in the tops of barrels, because it is absolutely inundating the glass with GSR and oil. This was no different. And I just wish, out of all the things that people do right so many times with their pistols, that they would just stop doing that, because it was problematic. So let's get down to the trigger. It is, they say, best in class trigger. Again, we did not have a bunch of micro compacts at the range to compare that to say yes or no. It does have this weird hinge type safety on there. Once you get that engaged and the trigger stops, or it meets a wall, if you will, there's a little bit of take up there. Not much. It's mostly a predictable break. There's not a whole lot of take up there once you get that hinge safety thing out of the way. I mean, there's a tiny little bit. There's no grit there, but once that hinge or that safety is engaged, if you will, or disengaged, whatever you want to say, it pretty much breaks right there almost, and it breaks at 90 degrees. And there is no short reset, in as much as you want to say there's a reset. There really is no reset. It's an internal hammer fired pistol. It's not striker fired. So the trigger comes all the way back to where it originally started. So there's no short reset. It comes all the way back. Now, with that being said, when it does reset, it is tactile, and you can hear it, you can feel it. So in the sense that it has a reset, as in it goes all the way back forward and resets, it is tactile. You can audibly hear it and you can feel it, and I had no issue with it at the range. Now, I did tell Trey at the range that I liked this one better than I did the Canik MC9. I think that aggravated him a little bit, because you know he's a huge fan of that gun. It does have a single slot for a streamlined flashlight up here, a smaller flashlight, if you will. I have not put a light on here, so I don't know which ones would fit best, but it does have a pick rail. That is something that a lot of times the micro compacts are missing. I'm glad to see that there. It does have the front and rear checkering that you're accustomed to seeing on the 509 models. It does not have any interchangeable back straps. I think I mentioned that the mag release is swappable, but there is nothing on the gun that is ambi. Also, another thing that you're accustomed to seeing on the FN brand, nothing on this firearm is ambi at all. But again, the mag release can be swapped around for the lefties. It has the PVD long-lasting finish, or that's what they say. I've never really put the finish on an FN to the test, but you know, it says PVD finish. The finish looks good. I will say this, that on FDE, I'm a fan of FDE, but not all people do FDE well. I know Glock done it very well on the 19X. The frame and the slide seem to go very well. As far as color, there wasn't a huge difference in the two colors between the polymer and the steel, and I know FN does a really good job of that as well. There is a little bit of a difference in the color, but it's not a huge contrast like you see on some others that make the FDE so ugly on some other brands. So again, we did have this out at the range, and it shot well. There were no performance problems. But as far as what we thought about it, I would just invite you to go over and check out the range video. We hope to have it up here in the next couple of days, and you can see the full range review on this and what our thoughts about that was. The barrel is hammer forged, and I don't know what else to say. Again, we try not to get into too many specifics. I do like the way that it takes down. Again, most of these things, you know, as far as weights and lengths and things of that nature, you can see for yourself online. So we try not to get into that too much if we can help it. Let's see here. We do have what looks to be like a single piece guide rod, but it does seem to be polymer. Yes, it is a polymer guide rod there. I did not know that. I did not look that up or anything. I'm just sitting here looking at it right now. So it is a single piece polymer guide rod, and the rear here where it meets the rear of the barrel does seem like it's got a stainless steel piece, but the rod itself is polymer, and the very tip here is polymer. But again, go over, check out the range video to see what our thoughts were at the range. And again, you know, I know I left something out. I always do. I misspoke in some way, had poor grammar, whatever. Give it to me, let me have it. Tell us what we didn't say, what we don't know, and how intelligent you are and how dumb we are. Just wanted to give you some of the pertinent information, if you will, about the firearm and what our thoughts about the firearm are on the table. And of course, we love to go back and forth with you guys, so let us know what your thoughts are. Ask any questions that you have. If we didn't say anything about it here on the tabletop, we can certainly address it. And we do really appreciate you guys watching. Be sure that you subscribe. It's the only way that we can continue to keep doing this. Make sure you hit that thumbs up, and you have a very God-blessed day. Thank you.